Hello and most welcome to Heidegger 1782 of the series. I will look a bit more into the summary of Warren D. Goldfarb. Let's see here. I just read it. Let's see, put that there. It's Wittgenstein on understanding. And it's the false transferal of metaphors from one area to another that is at stake here. And the first metaphor is the one of the chemical structure of ammonia that is brought over to the area of understanding. And let's repeat once more. Clearly, though the success of this line of argument will rest to a considerable extent on Wittgenstein's more basic strategies to show the inaptness of different definite states or process characterizations of understanding. That is, one has to undermine a picture of the mental apparatus at the start. And emphasize the intricacy, connectedness, and non-uniformity of our practices of ascriptions. So as to make clear how different this is from the case of mechanism in the physical world. The scientific objector always has examples from the physical sciences in mind. We discover the internal constitution of ammonia. After all, what we discovered was not an accompaniment of ammonia, whatever that would mean. To this we ought to respond. Understanding is not like ammonia. Wittgenstein's investigations are meant to bring us to see how different the cases are. The surroundings that make what is ammonia a question, the same question as what is the structure of ammonia, are absent for what is the understanding of table, or worse yet, what is the structure of the understanding of table. Wittgenstein's aim is to get us to reflect on differences that make the letter question so peculiar. It's an illicit transferal, if you want, from the area of, in this case, chemistry into the area of sophisticated and complex expressions that mixes things from gazillion areas. The situations involving in an intricate, non-extractable, non-isolatable circumstance is then meant to become absolutely like ammonia. So understanding will have some little part inside of it that corresponds to understanding itself. This massive, primitive oversimplification is the foundation or the unthought and unclarified foundation of all of psychology. To argue this, we can find on page 120, to elaborate the requirement that the brain state be linked to criteria of understanding, we should look closely at the work the scientific objection was supposed to do. We must evoke or uncover specific characterizations of what the state that is the understanding itself is wanted for. What work the isolation of such a state is meant to do. For example, suppose that one takes the understanding itself to be needed in order that there be a principal distinction between a mistaken usage and a different understanding is, that is, any possible different understanding. What corollary would we have to know that that little piece of brain is the correct equivalence of understanding? That would demand that the state be connected in some way to all the correct usages, that is, all correct possible uses. For if it had connection to only a subset of them, then the state would be indistinguishable by itself from the different understanding which would issue in only the correct uses in that subset. If we continue to think of connection here to be causal, we then have the demand that the state causally produce all correct further responses. This is just the demand Kripke puts on such states in his book, and he argues persuasively that it cannot be met. The demands we would impose for a state, states being more than a mere accompaniment of understanding, it now appears depend on what we expect from the identification of a state of understanding. This is, I think, corroborated by considerations of an intermediate case. Ignoring numerous difficulties and obscurities, let us suppose we can imagine the discovery of a brain state that is common within some tractable class of cases to those who understand the word table, and that is identified by causal links to correct usages in just a few straightforward cases. And links confrontations with paradigmatic tables. In this imagined case, are we to call the state the understanding, or merely an accompaniment of understanding? My reaction is to echo Wittgenstein's remark, "Say what you choose, as long as it does not prevent you from seeing the facts." Whether or not one claims the identification, what is important to note is how little by way of further enterprises are supported. Precisely because the state lacks connection to important features of understanding. It provides no basis for claims about the structure of understanding and little notion of the content of what is understood. It does not even have links to straightforward verdicts about tables and non-tables beyond the paradigmatic view, and thus does not intrinsically rule out other possible different understandings. As a result, the connections between understanding and content that are crucial to any philosophical, cognitive, psychological, or semantic theorizing are absent. So it simply is an illicit, oversimplified, non-valid move that in the end makes impossible for any scientific investigation whatsoever, because we haven't even made clear what the concept should be, in sharp contrast to the example of ammonia, where we know exactly what it refers to, and we get clear, easy methods of clarifying that. We can never do that when it comes to the different aspects of psychology. It's a conceptual problem, not in any way a scientific. Can never be resolved that way. Well, I say thank you very much and have a very pleasant day, afternoon or evening, wherever you happen to be. Bye bye for now.